Well, hello there. I really wanted to show you this video today. It is not the greatest quality, but there were a lot of kids there, and I did get permission from the children that are being filmed and these wonderful teachers. I really want to show you this great feeding class that we were a part of, and just some of the things that were reacted and how we worked with them. And these amazing, wonderful teachers at the Marian Hope Center, and sweet, sweet little Noah, who you see me sitting next to here. He's in a special ed class here at the Marian Hope Center in Independence, Missouri. I've been working with this center for 2 decades. The founder has a deep passion for nutrition, and they work to instill that in all the children who attend there. So this is a special feeding class. They give the kids lots of fruits and veggies, but Noah in particular is having issues with meat. So I made him some special chicken nuggets. I want you to see how he takes a bite of it and throws it. Now, that is actually a great step. One of the things I want you to see here is to let you know that everything on this table is extremely clean. We knew this was going to be happen. Hands are very washed, and everything around it is pretty much sterilized before we sit the kids down here. But I want you to see kind of the game that's being played here. Now, when Noah throws his food, rather than telling him no, we act as if his food has legs and wants to come back to him. Now, not once have I said to him, you need to eat this. It's pure familiarization towards feeling comfortable with the food, but he's hungry and it's snack time. So his willingness puts, he puts a piece in his mouth, and, he spits out it for the first several times. The first time he throws it, then he spits it out for several times, and then eventually he actually puts it in his mouth. Here I'm showing him some fresh herbs, and again, not asking him to eat any. Try it, smell how pretty they smell, play with them, do whatever it is, but just getting that comfort level around playing with the herbs. We had him smell them so he could get that flavor. See how I'm kind of walking the pieces of chicken nugget back? This time he puts it right in his mouth, and now he's loving it. So you can keep watching Wonderful Noah, but I just want to explain a little bit more of what's happening here. These teachers make snack time so wonderful. So Noah's biggest issue is meat. Most of my kids that I work with have vegetable issues, but his is meat. So I make this incredible chicken nugget, which I'll tell you about in a little bit of how I make that. But I think this is just a really good example of the patience that's involved and the game that you can particularly play. Now, I talk about some of the techniques used in my other videos, but these teachers here have been working beautifully on the necessary steps towards creating this willingness to try new foods. So, as I talk about with my other techniques, first it's simply just to touch and play. You can see that that's what we're doing specifically, like with the herbs, is that we're just getting him to touch it. And because they have a very strong flavor. There's actually some kids at the table who bravely put them in their mouth, and they didn't like it, which is understandable because herbs are very strong. But it doesn't matter. They smelled the smell. They got more familiar with it. They're always allowed to spit it out. There's never a problem with that. And because what we're trying to instill is that they don't have to suffer if they don't like something. So then the next step after that's being taught is to smell the food. Just taking, like, what does it smell like? Just the way you would smell a flower. And smelling is such an important step towards how their body interprets foods. This eventually, then after it gets to the smelling part, is followed up by kissing the food. Kissing is not eating. They can eat it, but it's not the intention. Because for one, when you hold it that close to your face, you're automatically likely going to smell it. So you get both with that action. But kissing allows some of the flavor without any of the texture. And in general, it feels very safe for kids. So let's go back to when Noah took that first bite of the nugget and tossed it. So a big rule I use in working with picky eaters is they can always spit the food out if they don't like it. Obviously, I don't teach them to toss it, but he's young, and that was a reaction that felt right to him. So when after he threw it, we just kind of played this game as if the nuggets had these legs and came back to him. With another child later that day, we um, we actually used dump trucks. We sterilized and cleaned some dump trucks and had the dump trucks bring back his food, and that worked really well. Now Noah here, I just love it because he is just going at it. He's just loving this food, everything that we're putting on his plate at this point. And that it was just a wonderful accomplishment for him. His parents were really amazed to see this video after. Um, so let me tell you how I made those chicken nuggets, which isn't anything that crazy or miraculous. It's just something that to think about because kids want something soft that's going to fall apart in their mouth. So of course I use a ground piece of chicken. I use ground chicken. Now you can usually find ground chicken in most meat departments. And then I wanted some extra nutrition with that. So I chopped up some very, very fine basil and parsley. Not a lot, not especially since this was his first time, but he likes vegetables. It's not typically his issue. So I also chopped up a little bit of a shallot because shallot is very thin and it adds a nice little savory flavor to it as well. So I have the shallot, a little bit of herbs in there. Any herbs that feel right to you are great to use. And I put a little garlic powder and some salt. And then I took these tiny little pieces of chicken, like little teeny balls, and I smashed them into some nice gluten-free flour, just coating both sides with the flour, and then fried it up. Now, I I will admit that I fried them in duck fat, which I know is a little bit of a bougie food, and I know that that's cost-wise is pretty high for a lot of families. But the thing is with duck fat, if you're really struggling with an eater, it gives food a beautiful, beautiful flavor. And it can be a really good tool in using and getting your kids to eat vegetables or sometimes chicken nuggets or things like that for the first time. Olive oil also very, very good, but be careful about your oils. You know, the healthier oils, the olive oil and the coconut oil actually can turn rancid really, really easily. And if it has a bad aroma or smell to it, often it's just not a very fresh oil. So we want to use coconut oil and olive oil, but if it's smelling bad, toss it because oils do go bad. Another big oil that I'm a fan of using, especially for frying things like chicken nuggets, he's getting some, I think it's fruit or vegetables right now. I'm not sure what it is. But that's something that he's very used to because they typically serve that all the time. I just want to interrupt myself for a second in that he's really engaged with this food. It's this combination of play and exploration, and that only comes with the trust that he doesn't have to perform. He doesn't have to do anything. He's not required to do anything that makes him feel uncomfortable, and that's where this beautiful cooperation comes from. So back to the chicken nuggets and the fats that I was speaking of. So I make bacon a lot. My son's a big fan of bacon, and after I make the bacon, I actually make it in an air fryer. And after I make the bacon, I strain out the pieces of any gristle or anything that's fallen off so that it's just a fat left. And I use that fat to make things like chicken nuggets as well too. Now that's a much more affordable option and a really great fat that we don't necessarily want to have to toss. So I'll wrap this up now. I'm just really glad you had a chance to join the Marian Hope Center and myself and this wonderful staff of individuals. And I would love to see this happening in more and more schools and day centers and all different types of academics.